Welcome, welcome, curious minds, to another deep dive. Today, we're not just revisiting a story, we're plunging headfirst into the very foundations of a world that, well, quite literally redefined fantasy for an entire generation. Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone.
Mm-hmm.
And what if I told you that the greatest act of bravery in this book wasn't some grand heroic feat, not the thrilling capture of a snitch or facing down a three-headed dog, but maybe, just maybe, a quiet, unseen sacrifice made by a character you might least expect.
It's a really provocative way to start, isn't it? Because,
Uh,
for years, the popular view, and it's totally fueled by Harry's own perspective, right,
mm.
has cast Professor Severus Snape as the quintessential villain of Harry's early Hogwarts life.
Oh, absolutely. Cold, biased, terrifying, frankly.
Exactly. And you probably remember Harry's broomstick just spiraling out of control during that Quidditch match, that really chaotic scene. And Harry's certain Snape is muttering a dark curse, trying to throw him off.
Total certainty.
But then, right at the end, Dumbledore reveals this startling truth. Snape was actually muttering a counter-curse, trying to save Harry. And that doesn't just reframe one scene. It immediately twists our understanding of Snape, definitely, but also maybe the nature of perception itself in this world.
Yeah. Are we, the readers, actually seeing the full picture? Or just what's presented to us? Maybe even, by design.
That makes you wonder.
And that's precisely our mission today. We're embarking on a real deep dive into the very beginnings of this magical world, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. Our aim isn't just to, rehash the plot.
No.
We want to meticulously unpack the foundational moments of Harry's extraordinary journey, starting from his, let's face it, pretty miserable existence on Privet Drive, all the way to that huge, world-altering confrontation over the stone.
Right.
We're here to extract those really important nuggets of knowledge, those insights, offering you a kind of shortcut to understanding the deeper layers, the surprising facts, maybe the hidden complexities you might have missed, even in a story you think you know inside out.
Yeah, peel back the layers.
Exactly. So let's do that. Let's peel back those layers and truly unpack this magical beginning. Okay, let's kick things off with what truly forms the bedrock of the entire series. These powerful, really resonant themes J.K. Rowling lays down right from page one. And honestly, at the heart of Harry's early experience is this profound, almost painful tension between family and belonging. Specifically, the Dursleys' relentless pursuit of normalcy versus Harry's desperate, just completely unfulfilled yearning for acceptance.
It's quite something, isn't it? How utterly terrified the Dursleys are of anything that deviates even, slightly from their meticulously crafted, utterly mundane existence. Mr. Dursley's morning, it starts with him chortling over Dudley's tantrum.
Which is perfectly normal for them.
Exactly. The irony, right? It's their normal.
Yeah.
But then the first cracks appear. He sees a cat reading a map, or at least he thinks he does.
He tries so hard to rationalize it.
Oh, completely. His perfectly ordered world starts to unravel. He's frantically trying to explain it away, muttering, what could he have been thinking of? It must have been a trick of the light. But the strangeness just escalates.
People in cloaks whispering.
Owls flying by day, shooting stars in Kent. His frantic, almost comedic efforts to ignore it all, to suppress the magic, they reach this absurd climax when they actually flee their own home.
Just to escape the letters?
Yeah. Desperate to escape the Hogwarts letters, he literally nails up the mail slot, boards up the doors, even drags his family to a remote rock in the middle of the sea.
All to avoid any connection to the very world that defines Harry. It's not just discomfort, it's like an almost pathological fear of anything unpredictable, anything they can't control.
And Petunia is right there with him, maybe even worse, with her singular focus on having a nice, normal day.
Their obsession with being normal isn't just a character quirk, is it? It's almost a character in itself. It's like a shield, a denial.
A desperate attempt to maintain control over their little predictable world. And this obsession directly contrasts with Harry's absolute misery. You see him living in that cramped cupboard under the stairs.
Small and skinny, wearing Dudley's baggy cast-offs.
Never getting presents, completely overlooked. His only comfort is this recurring, really poignant dream of some unknown relation coming to take him away.
And those little moments where strangers seem to know him, the man in the violet top hat.
Or the bald man in the purple coat shaking his hand, tiny, almost imperceptible hints of a world that desperately wants to claim him, a family he doesn't even know exists. It's just heartbreaking to see a child so utterly deprived of basic affection, basic recognition within what's supposed to be a family home.
But then, bam, Hagrid arrives.
With a thunderous crash.
Yeah.
The moment he bursts through that door demanding, "You're a wizard, Harry," everything just shifts.
Instantly.
Harry is immediately accepted, unconditionally, and with genuine warmth. You know, the giant's gruff kindness, the welcoming chaos of the Weasleys at King's Cross.
Even Mr. Ollivander, who's a bit eccentric but profoundly kind.
It's an instant family. Hogwarts isn't just a school. It rapidly transforms into a true family within Hogwarts, cemented by house loyalties and shared experiences.
Think about how quickly he feels at home on the train with Ron, finding kinship with Hermione. That shared joy, that immediate sense of belonging.
It's such a stark contrast to Dudley's singular, petulant won't, which is like the perfect childish summation of the Dursleys' deep-seated adult rejection of Harry and everything he represents.
Absolutely. It really shows us that family isn't just blood, is it? It's where you find true acceptance.
Yeah, where you belong.
Which leads us right into the next critical theme, ignorance versus knowledge. The unveiling of this hidden world.
And the Dursleys don't just dislike magic. They actively, deliberately, and frankly, quite maliciously suppress it.
They burn the letters, board up the house. They outright lie about Harry's past, about his parents.
And Petunia's outburst, that raw, guttural thing about Lily being a freak, and her bitter declaration of how she went and got herself blown up and we got landed with you, that doesn't just show malice. It reveals the deep, festering wound of their active attempts to keep Harry completely ignorant.
It's a willful ignorance. Almost emotional abuse, trying to erase reality.
Totally. And this deliberate suppression only makes Harry's awakening more powerful, almost explosive, when Hagrid finally smashes through their little protective bubble.
The shock, the wonder, learning about magic, his parents, his own fame, it's palpable.
You can almost feel his hunger for information, his desperate need to catch up on a decade of withheld knowledge. He just devours books like A History of Magic and Quidditch Through the Ages.
In his room at the Dursleys and later at Hogwarts, absorbing every detail so fast.
But what's really brilliant is how the book subtly introduces different forms of knowledge. It illustrates that learning isn't just about what you read in a book.
Oh, absolutely. Hermione Granger is the absolute epitome of book-learned brilliance. She's not just smart, she's memorized everything.
The 1637 Werewolf Code of Conduct.
Elfric the Eager's uprising. She's the one who provides that cool logic in the face of fire during Snape's potions riddle, right? Quickly figuring it out from her encyclopedic knowledge.
But then you have Ron Weasley. Despite struggling with spells sometimes, he possesses this profound, practical wizarding knowledge just from growing up in it.
He knows how Chocolate Frog's cards move, what a Remembrall does.
Quidditch strategy, the unwritten rules of the magical world, things Hermione wouldn't know from a book.
And then there's Harry. His raw, untrained magical talent just manifests unconsciously, almost instinctively. We see it when his hair grows back after Petunia's terrible haircut.
His accidental release of the boa constrictor at the zoo.
And his immediate, intuitive mastery of the broomstick in that first flying lesson. He realizes he'd found something he could do without being taught this was easy, this was wonderful.
It's an innate, visceral knowledge, isn't it? A deep connection to magic itself. It's distinct from Hermione's academic brilliance or Ron's sort of lived experience. And the story shows all three forms are vital.
Yeah, they need all three.
And this fascinating interplay of talent and knowledge leads perfectly into the central theme of identity and destiny. The boy who lived.
Right. Harry is thrust into this world where he is famous before he can walk and talk. Famous for something he won't even remember.
His fame just precedes him. It shapes his initial interactions everywhere. The leaky cauldron with poor, stuttering Professor Quirrell and the profound Mr. Ollivander. He's a living legend without any understanding of why.
Or what it even means to be Harry Potter.
But the pivotal moment for his identity isn't just learning he's famous, is it? It's when he makes his very first conscious defining choice.
The Sorting Hat.
Exactly. The Sorting Hat's decision, where Harry is vehemently thinking, not Slytherin, not Slytherin. That directly influences his path and, you could argue, the trajectory of the entire series.
It's such a powerful statement that his character, his choices, are more defining than any, preordained destiny or raw talent. It sets the stage. Showing free will can override fate.
And Mr. Ollivander, the mysterious wand maker, drives this home even further with his profound statement, "The wand chooses the wizard."
It's not just charming magical lore, it's a thematic declaration, right? That a wizard's true power comes from this inherent, almost spiritual connection, not just owning the stick.
And then the kicker, the very curious connection. Harry's Holly and Phoenix Feather wand shares its core with Voldemort's Yew and Phoenix Feather wand, both feathers from the same phoenix, Fox.
Which is just, wow. It isn't just a fun fact. It subtly but powerfully foreshadows their linked destinies right from the start. It hints at this deep, almost mystical bond between hero and villain that goes way beyond just personal hatred.
They are, in a weird way, two sides of the same coin.
Bound together.
And all of these foundational themes are kind of underpinned by the pervasive presence of prejudice and outsiders, defining normal.
The Dursleys again. Their intense dislike and, yeah, pathological fear of anything abnormal or funny, that little jab about the get-ups you saw in young people, it isn't just quirky, it's palpable bigotry.
They simply cannot comprehend or accept magic, labeling it dangerous nonsense. It's a deeply uncomfortable but really resonant portrayal of real-world prejudice, where difference is met with fear and hostility.
And it doesn't stop at the Dursleys, does it? Malfoy immediately shows an equally insidious form of elitism.
Oh yeah, dismissing Ron and Harry based on family status, perceived lack of wealth, or purity of blood. He tells Harry, all the Weasleys have red hair, freckles, and more children than they can afford. You don't want to go making friends with the wrong sort.
It's a clear echo of the Dursleys' exclusionary mindset, just, translated into the wizarding world. It highlights societal hierarchies, class discrimination.
So Harry, initially an outcast with the Dursleys, finds himself an outsider in the wizarding world too for a bit, until he actively chooses his friends and finds his place in Gryffindor.
His whole journey in this first book is this constant struggle for acceptance, isn't it? First, escaping the Dursleys' stifling normalcy, then defining his own place within this new, strange, but ultimately welcoming world.
It shows us that true belonging comes from finding your people, not from fitting someone else's definition of normal.
Yeah.
Okay, let's shift gears now and dive into our Antivision segment. This is where we like to boldly challenge some commonly held beliefs about characters we think we know. And honestly, no character is more ripe for this than Severus Snape.
Oh, absolutely. From Harry's point of view, Snape is just consistently cold, glaring, biased against Gryffindor.
Constantly taking points.
And seems to genuinely really hate Harry. Harry even has that vivid dream of Snape laughing with a high and cold laugh. He's totally convinced Snape was after whatever is guarding.
And even let that troll in on Halloween. He's designed, it seems, to be the obvious antagonist, the sneering villain lurking in the shadows.
That's the perception Rowling meticulously crafts, isn't it? And Harry's bias is completely understandable given Snape's cruel behavior and, let's be honest, blatant favoritism towards Slytherin.
Always questioning Harry and potions, asking obscure stuff Hermione knows but Harry doesn't, then sneering, "Tut-tut, fame clearly isn't everything."
He even takes points just for Harry answering back.
But here's the hidden truth, delivered by Dumbledore right at the very end of the book, which completely upends everything we thought we knew. During that Quidditch match,
When Harry thought Snape was jinxing him.
Dumbledore reveals Snape was actually muttering a counter curse trying to save you. This isn't just a minor detail. It completely flips the script on what we and Harry thought was happening.
Yeah.
It makes you question appearances, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Everything.
And it gets even deeper, more complex. Dumbledore then reveals the shocking, almost tragic truth about Snape's real motivation. James Potter, Harry's dad, saved Snape's life years ago.
An act that Snape, in his immense pride and bitterness, just couldn't bear being in your father's debt.
Right. Dumbledore explicitly states that Snape worked so hard to protect you this year because he felt that would make him and your father even. Then he could go back to hating your father's memory in peace.
Wow. That single revelation doesn't just reframe his character. It establishes this foundational theme in Rowling's world. Motives are rarely simple. Even acts of protection can stem from deeply conflicted, even dark places.
It challenges us, the readers, right from the first book, to question our assumptions about heroes and villains, and to recognize that true bravery can often be hidden beneath layers of resentment and a tortured past. How does this early glimpse into moral ambiguity prepare us for the complex choices Harry and others face later, when the lines between good and evil really start to blur?
Exactly, and that complexity brings us right to our next fascinating character study, Albus Dumbledore.
Ah, Dumbledore.
Universally perceived as the benevolent protector, right?
Hmm.
A wise, eccentric headmaster with a twinkle in his eye, guiding Harry. His initial appearance, his calm demeanor, reassuring presence, that sets the stage.
He's the one who leaves Harry with the Dursleys with that comforting letter, wishes him good luck, Harry, as he vanishes into the night. Seems like the ultimate guardian.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, maybe what we learn later, was Dumbledore truly just a benevolent, passive protector? Or was he perhaps a master chess player, constantly calculating risks, manipulating the board?
It's a chilling thought, isn't it? Consider his decision to leave Harry with the Dursleys. Yes, he explains it's much better off he'll be growing up away from all that because of Lily's protection.
But it also puts Harry in this deeply unhappy, magic-suppressing environment that almost crushes his spirit. Was the magical protection worth the emotional, the psychological toll?
It's a heavy question. Then there's his deliberate placement of the Sorcerer's Stone at Hogwarts. He admits it was almost stolen from Gringotts, implying it was vulnerable.
Yet he puts it in a school full of children, behind challenges that, well, Harry and his friends managed to navigate.
Did he trust them to navigate those challenges? Or did he expect them to, knowing Harry would be drawn into the conflict? Was it a test he deliberately set up?
It certainly raises a really important, maybe even unsettling question about Dumbledore's methods and the extent of his foreknowledge.
He even intervenes directly at the Mirror of Erised, not just to remove it, but to impart that profound lesson. It does not do to dwell on dreams and forget to live.
Yet, Harry reflects later with this uncanny intuition. It's almost like he thought I had the right to face Voldemort if I could. I don't think it was an accident he let me find out how the mirror worked.
And let's not forget the cloak. The invisibility cloak, Harry's father's cloak, appearing precisely at the climax with that cryptic note. Just in case.
That's not just convenient plotting. It implies Dumbledore knew Harry might need it, that he was prepared for Harry's actions, maybe even encouraged them.
So was he truly a passive observer just letting events unfold? Or was he subtly pulling strings, guiding Harry towards his destiny from the shadows, knowing the boy had this unique right, maybe the crucial role, to face Voldemort?
The truth of Dumbledore, even here in Book 1, feels far more complex than just a kindly old wizard. He's a strategist whose wisdom often borders on, well, chilling manipulation. A puppet master playing a very long, very dangerous game. Okay, now for our empathy dive. We want to ask you, our curious listener, to really challenge your own perceptions here. Step into someone else's shoes. Let's talk about Petunia Dursley.
Oh boy, Petunia.
For most of us, she's just this grotesque caricature, right? Shrill, horse-faced, crane-like neck makes Harry's life utterly miserable. She's easy to hate, easy to dismiss.
Very easy.
But what if we try to look beyond that? Beyond the cruelty, and consider her perspective, her internal world, as if she were the protagonist of her own deeply sad story.
It's a fascinating exercise because Petunia's fierce desire for a nice, normal day isn't just a quirk, is it? It feels like a deep-seated psychological need, a desperate attempt to maintain control in a world she sees as constantly threatening to spin out of control.
Her days are just ceaselessly disrupted by the funny stuff of the magical world. Owls, shooting stars, cloaked figures. It fills her with visible shock, incandescent anger, especially anything reminding her of Lily.
She doesn't just ignore it. She actively, viciously suppresses any mention of Lily. Almost as if erasing her sister's existence would erase the pain, the inadequacy she feels.
And this fierce suppression hints at something much deeper, much more painful. A sister's profound jealousy and fear. We get that rare, raw glimpse into Petunia's genuine pain during that bitter confession to Harry and Hagrid.
Yeah, her voice sharpens. She shrieks, "My dreaded sister being what she was. Oh, she got a letter just like that and disappeared off to that school and came home every vacation with her pockets full of frog spawn, turning teacups into rats. I was the only one who saw her for what she was, a freak. But for my mother and father, oh no, it was Lily this and Lily that. They were proud of having a witch in the family."
It's just a torrent of long-held resentment pouring out.
And what's truly heartbreaking there is the underlying wound fueling her cruelty. Petunia clearly felt overlooked, unspecial, less loved than her magical sister.
This profound resentment, born from a childhood overshadowed by Lily's extraordinary gifts and the, uncritical adoration Lily got from their parents, it morphed into this intense fear and deep loathing of magic itself.
It wasn't just dislike, it was a visceral terror that if it got out that they were related to a pair of, well, he didn't think he could bear it. Her belief that Lily went and got herself blown up and we got landed with you highlights not just her profound lack of understanding about love and sacrifice.
But the immense emotional burden she felt being saddled with Harry. She saw him not as an orphan child needing love, but as a constant, living, breathing reminder of the sister she envied and the magical world she desperately wanted to ignore. A painful echo of her own perceived inadequacies.
So her relentless pursuit of normalcy wasn't purely, sadistic. From her twisted perspective, it was a desperate act of self-preservation.
Her efforts to stamp out that dangerous nonsense from Harry weren't just cruelty. They were a frantic attempt to protect her carefully constructed, normal world. A world that had always felt threatened by magic, by the unpredictable, by anything different.
Her fear was genuine, even if it was misguided and totally disproportionate, and it made her lash out at anything, reminding her of her own inadequacy compared to her freak sister.
When you look at it that way, Petunia is a deeply tragic figure, isn't she? Trapped by her own insecurities, by a lifetime of unacknowledged pain, and by the ghost of a sister she could neither understand nor forgive. It paints a much more empathetic, if still dark, picture. Okay, let's zoom out a bit for our What They Missed segment. These are the subtle threads, the symbolic patterns, the hidden meanings that even, avid fans might overlook on a first read or maybe even a fifth. And a really interesting one is the significance of scars and marks beyond Harry's famous lightning bolt.
That's an excellent point. Harry's lightning scar is absolutely front and center, immediately defined as what you get when a powerful evil curse touches you. It's the physical manifestation of his unique destiny, his connection to Voldemort, his survival. It literally marks him as different.
Right. But then consider Dumbledore's seemingly trivial scar. He casually mentions he has one above my left knee that is a perfect map of the London Underground.
It's so lighthearted, almost whimsical, but it subtly integrates magic into his very identity, doesn't it? Implying that even the mundane details of his life are touched by the extraordinary.
It contrasts so sharply with Harry's scar, which is this mark of pain and destiny. It shows the varied ways magic interacts with the physical form and how comfortably Dumbledore, this powerful wizard, wears his unique magical identity.
And then there's Dudley's pig's tail.
Huh. Yes. While it's a literal mark of Hagrid's accidental magic, a comical moment where a simple charm goes a bit wrong.
It's also deeply symbolic, representing the Dursleys' own pig-like nature. Their greed, their gluttony, selfishness, lack of empathy, their boorishness.
Dudley is physically transformed, however briefly, into the animal he already embodies spiritually. It's a visual gag that carries a pretty brutal piece of characterization.
So you have these three very different scars or marks, each telling a profound story, revealing identity, past events, character, even magical influence in surprisingly nuanced ways. They aren't just random physical details, they're integral narrative clues, rowling, weaving meaning into every small touch.
Next up, unconscious magic and inherent talent. Before Harry even knows he's a wizard, he repeatedly performs accidental magic.
We hear about his hair growing back overnight after Petunia butchers it like a defiant act of magic in response to her cruelty.
And of course, the boa constrictor's escape at the zoo, where Harry wills the glass away, frees the snake, terrifies Dudley.
These aren't just funny anecdotes. They are a crucial foreshadowing of his innate magical power. They demonstrate his abilities exist independently of a wand or formal knowledge, or even conscious intent. He's a wizard at his core, whether he knows it or not, a natural force waiting to be unleashed.
And it's this raw, untrained talent that really shines during his very first flying lesson. He just takes to the broomstick immediately, instinctively mastering it while others struggle.
The text describes it perfectly. He'd found something he could do without being taught. This was easy. This was wonderful.
Oh, this isn't book-learned skill like Hermione's or even practice skill like Ron's Quidditch brothers. It's pure, inherent ability. A natural affinity that sets him apart as truly special, a prodigy beyond what anyone has told him he is.
It's almost visceral connection to the magic within him, isn't it? A fundamental part of his being he discovers in the thrill of flight.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that innate connection extends to the wand's deeper meaning. Mr. Ollivander's profound statement, "The wand chooses the wizard," isn't just charming lore or a magical quirk. It's a crucial thematic element.
It suggests this living, almost symbiotic relationship between wizard and instrument, implying destiny and compatibility beyond just owning it.
But it's the very curious connection that truly deepens this. Harry's Holly and Phoenix feather wand and Voldemort's Yew and Phoenix feather wand, both containing a feather from the very same phoenix, fox, Dumbledore's companion.
That's not just a fun fact. It's a chilling yet foundational piece of the puzzle that echoes through the entire saga. It hints at a deeper mystical link between their destinies right from the beginning.
They are connected not just by Harry's scar, but by the very tools of their power. It suggests their fates are intertwined, almost predestined by this shared magical core. It elevates their conflict beyond personal animosity to an almost cosmic, fated confrontation.
It's an ingenious piece of world building that subtly tells us Harry and Voldemort are two sides of the same coin, bound together from the moment the wand chose Harry. All right, time for a mini debate. We love a good ethical quandary, and the climax of Sorcerer's Stone gives us not one, but two fantastic ones, forcing our young heroes to make incredibly difficult choices under immense pressure. So, Harry, Ron, and Hermione are trying to reach the stone to stop Snape, or so they believe in Voldemort. But a huge obstacle stands in their way. Neville Longbottom.
Brave Neville.
Remembering Harry's earlier advice to stand up to people, he bravely tries to stop them from breaking rules, threatening to fight them. It's a genuine dilemma. Stopping Voldemort versus, abandoning a friend or breaking a major school rule.
Let's tackle Hermione's Petrificus Totalis on Neville first. Was it a necessary evil or a betrayal?
Okay.
On one hand, you could argue it was absolutely necessary. The stakes were incredibly high, stopping Voldemort from regaining power. Hermione explicitly says, "I'm really, really sorry about this," and we had to, Neville, no time to explain.
Her logical mind just took over.
Exactly. Her logical mind, honed by all that knowledge, saw no other immediate way to proceed without potentially endangering Neville by letting him interfere, or, crucially, getting caught by Snape or Filch. She was prioritizing the greater good, stopping a dark wizard over a friend's feelings or school rules.
It showed her evolving willingness to bend rules for a vital cause, didn't it? That pragmatic ruthlessness that, while difficult to watch, would serve them well later.
In that moment, her cool logic assessed the situation and made the only decision she saw possible for the mission's success.
Okay, I see the cold logic and the urgency is undeniable, but on the other hand, couldn't you argue it was a profound betrayal of trust? An extreme measure against a friend who was genuinely trying to do the right thing, trying to help his house.
He was horrified.
Neville was looking at them in horror as his body went rigid and he fell stiffly to the floor. It was a cold, calculated act, and it completely incapacitated an ally who believed he was upholding the very values Gryffindor stood for. Does the urgency truly excuse such a forceful act against a friend, even temporarily?
It's tough.
While it solved their immediate problem, what does it say about Hermione's character development at this young age? She's willing to sacrifice personal bonds for the sake of the mission. It highlights a certain ruthless pragmatism that's both admirable for its effectiveness and maybe a little terrifying for its lack of sentimentality. It leaves you wondering about the ethical cost of those necessary evils.
Definitely food for thought. Okay, moving on to Ron's sacrifice in the chess game. Reckless bravery or strategic necessity.
Ron's big moment.
From the perspective of strategic necessity and genuine bravery, Ron's move is nothing short of brilliant. Facing this life-sized sentient chess game, he immediately declares, "It's the only way I've got to be taken."
He sees it instantly.
He instantly recognizes that you've got to make some sacrifices. His strategic mind quickly identifies the precise move needed to win, even if it means his own temporary incapacitation. He's willing to be a limp black player slumped along the wall for the greater victory.
It's a huge moment for him. Demonstrates his loyalty, his unexpected tactical brilliance under pressure, his immense courage, putting himself in harm's way for the team.
And Dumbledore himself recognizes this, right? Later awarding him 50 points for the best played game of chess Hogwarts has seen in many years, validating his strategic genius and bravery.
Okay, but I'm not entirely convinced it was purely strategic necessity. Was it truly the only way? Or was it maybe a bit dramatic, a bit impulsive, putting himself out of the fight prematurely? Ron, despite his chess skills, can also be quite impulsive, and he really longs to prove himself, step out of his brother's shadows. Couldn't Hermione, with her cool logic and vast knowledge of spells, have possibly found an alternative given a little more time? A less drastic route that didn't involve sacrificing one of their own?
Possibly, but time was short.
Was the sacrifice maybe a bit too self-important? A flair for the dramatic when a less heroic, more collaborative approach might have been possible? It's undeniably brave and tactical, but perhaps born more from a desire to prove his worth and make his mark than a purely cold, calculated strategy. It feels like the kind of decision a young, eager hero makes.
That's a fascinating point about his character arc, the internal pressures he faces. But you could also argue that in that moment, for him, the conviction that it was the only way was absolute, making it a strategic choice with profound personal stakes.
Yeah, okay.
Both of these moments, Hermione's spell and Ron's sacrifice, they really show the immense pressure these young heroes were under, and the incredibly difficult choices they had to make, blurring the lines between what's right and what's necessary, forcing them to confront the true cost of their quest.
So after diving deep into these foundational elements and, challenging some long-held assumptions, let's zoom out for our meta take. What is the Sorcerer's Stone's enduring magic? Its lasting legacy? How has it shaped our world, and what powerful messages does it still hold for our future?
First off, it's undeniably a blueprint for modern fantasy.
Oh, absolutely. No question. This book, even in its opening chapters, meticulously establishes so many tropes, so many narrative structures that would just go on to influence an entire generation of fantasy authors and readers.
You have the classic normal world colliding with the magical.
Mundane, stifling privet drive crashing into the awe-inspiring, bewildering Diagon Alley. It introduces and really popularizes the chosen one narrative, the discovery of hidden powers.
And crucially, the paramount importance of friendship, loyalty, collaboration, and overcoming immense evil. It built this accessible, relatable bridge between the grand heroic quests of classic fantasy and a more contemporary school-based setting. Think of how many series after this adopted the magical school trope or the found family dynamic within a magical community. It really set a trend.
And the world building is just exquisite, isn't it? Rowling doesn't just tell us about magic. She immerses us in it with these incredibly tangible details.
Wizard money, the gleaming galleon, silver sickles, copper nuts.
Unique, charming transportation like Hagrid's flying motorcycle, the iconic Hogwarts Express.
Diagon Alley feels like a place you could actually visit. Ollivander's peculiar shop, where the very dust and silence in here seem to tingle with some secret magic.
This meticulous level of detail, making the fantastical utterly believable and deeply appealing, it set a new standard for fantasy world building. It transformed the genre by rooting its magic in a sense of lived reality. It invites you right in.
And beyond the sheer fantasy and the brilliant world building, the book serves as powerful commentary on our world. It resonates with universal human experiences.
The Dursleys, for example. They represent a chilling reflection of real-world dangers. Ignorance, intolerance, a crippling, almost pathological fear of difference.
Their inability to comprehend or accept magic, labeling it abnormal and funny, is such a stark parallel to real-life prejudices against anything or anyone outside the perceived norm. It reminds us of that human tendency to fear and suppress what we don't understand.
It forces us to confront how we as a society often react to the unknown.
But on the flip side, the book beautifully illustrates the transformative protective power of love and sacrifice, embodied so profoundly by Lily and James Potter protecting Harry.
Their selfless act imbues Harry with this magical protection Voldemort cannot comprehend or overcome, a shield of love that literally saves his life and weakens his tormentor.
It highlights how the deepest human bonds can be the most potent force against evil, a magic far older and more profound than any spell.
And for anyone who has ever felt like an outsider, marginalized, misunderstood, the book resonates so deeply with the theme of finding your true self and a place of belonging.
Hogwarts becomes this incredible haven for youngsters of his own sort, a place where Harry, and by extension countless readers, can finally feel seen, valued, accepted, truly at home. It's such a powerful message of community and acceptance.
Which is so important.
Finally, what does the Sorcerer's Stone mean for speaking to our future? Its timeless appeal lies in that universal human desire to escape the mundane for adventure, right? To discover something extraordinary just beyond the everyday.
It feeds that deep, primal part of us that wishes a giant would burst through the door and tell us we're a wizard. That there's more to life than the ordinary. It speaks to our longing for wonder.
And it continually reinforces the enduring power of choice over destiny. Harry's pivotal decision in the Sorting Hat, not Slytherin, is just the beginning.
Throughout his journey, he repeatedly makes choices that define him, proving that character is built on deliberate action, on the courageous decisions we make, not just preordained fate or the circumstances of our birth.
It's an empowering message for readers, reminding them that they too have agency in shaping their own lives.
And crucially, the book warns us that the battle against hidden evils is never truly over. Voldemort, even weakened at the end of the book, is still out there somewhere, perhaps looking for another body to share. Not being truly alive, he cannot be killed.
This story reminds us that dark forces may be delayed, but they often return, necessitating vigilance, courage, and a willingness to stand up for what's right again and again. It's a powerful, resonant message for any generation navigating complex challenges in their own world. #tag closing segment.
Wow. What an incredible journey through just the very first layers of Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. It's a book that truly, truly rewards a closer look.
It really does.
So for you, our curious listener, here's a provocative what-if question to mull over. Considering Petunia Dursley's deep-seated fear and resentment of magic stemming from her childhood, what if Dumbledore had shared more of Lily's story with her? Or maybe offered her genuine support and understanding instead of just leaving Harry on her doorstep with a letter? Could a different approach have changed Petunia's and therefore Harry's fate at Privet Drive? Could it have fostered a less hostile, maybe even an accepting environment for him?
That's a truly fascinating thought experiment, isn't it?
Right.
One that delves right into the profound impact of empathy and understanding.
Mm-hmm.
And if you love that discovery of a hidden magical world where the mundane slowly gives way to unexpected wonder and joy,
Yeah.
we have a quirky recommendation for you. Check out the animated film Klaus.
Oh, I love Cloud.
It's beautiful. It blends the ordinary with unexpected magic so well. Features a postman sent to this grim, isolated village who slowly uncovers a hidden, whimsical world of giving and wonder. Much like Harry's transition from the bleakness of Privet Drive to the vibrant chaos of Hogwarts.
It really captures that feeling of finding joy and purpose in the most unexpected places. It's a genuine delight.
It absolutely is.
Well, as we close this deep dive, remember the immense value of re-examining familiar stories for those deeper insights, those hidden truths, and the surprising connections that reveal themselves upon closer inspection. Keep asking questions.
Keep looking beyond the obvious, and keep embarking on your own deep dives into the stories and ideas that shape our world.
Until next time, stay curious.